Hi there, thanks for watching. This video will take you through the steps that I undertake when I'm updating my Mystic bulletin board software, and I'm wanting to move from one version of Mystic, which is usually an alpha version, to the latest alpha version. As always, you start off by heading to the mysticbbs.com website, the Downloads tab, and you pull down the latest version of the alpha software that you want to update to. In this case, I'm moving to version 112 Alpha 21, and I have already downloaded the Windows 32-bit version, which I have just decompressed, and it's sitting here ready to go when I want to run the installer. So if I fire up the installer and bring that up on the screen, the first thing I should point out is that if you try to install this software over the directories that you already have in place for your current Mystic system, it's not going to let you. That's been a fairly recent change, and it's been a welcome change by the community. Instead, what you want to do is probably create another directory which will unpack the latest version of the files, and then we're going to copy the necessary files we need into our live system. So I'm usually, well, the way I do it is I create a directory just based on the name of the alpha. So I just call it Mystic 112 Alpha 21, which sets the root directory for that. Press F2 to install and create all the files. Close the installer down. Head back to my directory, and I'll just drop into the C drive, and I now have a directory called Mystic 112 Alpha 21. So this is just your stock standard Mystic install with a whole bunch of files and things, and you've got to decide what files need to come across into your system that will actually be the live system. So what I'll do is I will just split the screen so that we've got on the left hand side of the screen the live system, and on the right hand side of the screen the install for Alpha 21. Now, it's usually good form to head into the docs directory and look at the upgrade text, because if you don't do that you can get into trouble. As always, you should do a backup beforehand, and then what you want to do is read through the upgrade text and follow the instructions depending on where you've come from. So in my case, I am sitting at Alpha 14 and I'm moving to Alpha 21. So I'm starting here by having a look at the following instructions. Replace all binaries. Don't forget a couple of binaries that sit in the scripts directory, and to recompile those scripts. And I also need to update or run the file-based packer to regenerate my file indexes. So that's worth knowing. And then if I have a look at the more recent instructions, and there are quite a few steps, as you can see here, that I'm going to have to go through. But it's not as onerous as it looks, because quite often what you're doing is you're copying over the executable files, but what you're also doing is you're looking for any other changes that you have to do as a result of some of the tweaks being made to the software. So we know we're going to have to copy all the executable files over, and we also have some other updates and things, particularly to do as we move between version 18 and 19. So I can see that I'm going to need to run the Mystic Utilities file-based packer as part of this upgrade, but I'm really having a good look at the steps that I need to take in the update from, it says, Alpha 18 to 19, because there's quite a few here. So I'm looking at the fact that I need to firstly copy over the various executable files into the live system. So let's do that first. What I would do is I would go and sort all my files by type, and in this case I want all the executable files: Fido, Pol, MBBS, Util, MIS, Mutil, Mystic, NodeSpy, QWK, Pol, an upgrade file. I usually grab the Mutil ini file, and because I keep that in my directory as a kind of template, so I always grab the latest version of that. I copy the NodeSpy file over as well, because usually I don't change that very much. If you are using NodeSpy, you may not want to copy that over, and I'm copying over the mutil.toplist file. Don't copy over the mystic.dat file. If you do that, then you are wiping out your Mystic system and starting from scratch. So that is bad juju. You don't want to do that. So now I'm going to just copy those files over into the live system. Of course, nothing is running. All my versions of the software have shut down, and I've copied these files across now into the live system. I'm also going into the scripts directory, and I'm selecting everything in the Alpha 21 scripts directory, and I'm copying everything into the live systems scripts directory, which you'll just have to take my word has just happened. I also go into the docs directory, and I select all the current documentation that have shipped with the latest alpha, and I go into the equivalent docs directory for the live version, and I paste in and overwrite everything that I can there. So I always make sure I have the latest version of the docs. Now, those steps aside, I now need to go back to the what's upgrade section and figure out what else I have to do. So I have copied all over the executable files, and I've also picked up the executable files in the scripts directory, because you recall I just copied everything into that from one script directory to another. This upgrade also asks me to copy in new message editor files from the text directory into the text directory that I'm in my live system. So let's do that. We'll go into the text directory of the Alpha 21, and I'm looking for a series of files called message_editor, of which there are 4, and I'm putting those into the text directory for the new system, for the live system at least. There they are there now. So that's the first step done. The next step, it says if you use certain MCI codes, these are display codes, they need to be updated. If you only use the defaults, then you can copy over the archive_view and ANSI MIDI index files. So we will do that now. So first thing I need to do is copy archive_view.ini. Time has passed and I've copied that file across. I'm now looking to copy another file called ANSI midexini, which is also in the text directory, so I'm just looking for that one there, and I'm copying that across into the text directory of my live system, which I've just done. Now I need to run upgrade.exe, which will update some data files, and in order to do that I'm going to need to get a DOS prompt up, which I'm just getting up on the screen now and bringing into view, and then just double check the instructions. I'm running a program called upgrade.exe. Upgrade, and now you'll see that it's updated some data files. Now this is a fairly comprehensive bunch of steps that I'm doing. Don't get terribly put off by this, because it's probably a little more than would normally be done for an update, but I also think it's worth showing you how you do sometimes need to keep on top of stuff. So excuse all the flashing of the screens, I'm just trying to figure out the next steps. I need to delete update.exe and upgrade.exe in my root directory. So if I just sort by type, I've got an upgrade and an update. Both of those I no longer need in my live system. And I recall there was some instructions there that told me I needed to also run the file-based packer. Now I'm just moving to the final set of instructions that will get me to the latest version of the alpha, and you'll see that it says here that there are some prompts that have changed. If you have the default prompts and you haven't messed with them, you can just copy over a file called default text, but in this case, if there are some customized prompts, then you can customize, actually edit the file and copy the prompts in. In my case, I haven't actually done anything to the prompts, so I am just going to go and update the files holus bolus. So I'm looking for a file called default.txt, which is in the data directory, and I'm copying that over into my other data directory on the live system, and that's done. And then finally I do need to run the mutal program, mutal mate, which has also got the file-based packing process in it. And at that stage of the game, I think I've now updated to the latest version. If I run the software, let's just run Mystic Internet Server, your first clue that things have been updated are at the top of this screen. You can see that it's saying Alpha 21. We were running Alpha 14, I think it was. And the other thing we should do is we should just check out what's new. So if we go into the docs directory, and I'm now looking in my live system, and recall I updated all the doc files from that installed version for Alpha 21. Go into what's new, scroll to the bottom of the screen, and you can see all the various changes. It's really important that you read through this document as you move between the alphas, because you will find sometimes there are tips in here and other things that you might be asked just to do or may want to add or delete to your system that are not necessarily covered in the upgrade file. But what I can tell you, and I know this because I've already played with this alpha before I recorded this video, is that there's been quite a nice change to Mystic's full screen editor. And I'm going to show you that because it's just awesome. So we will fire up our bulletin board, and I'll log in as Red72, and I'll pop my password in as always. And if I go into the message system and fire up the index area reader and call up a echo mail, there's one of the messages. Now that's the kind of look that we're used to seeing when we read and when we post messages to an echo mail area. If I was to post something new, and I'm just doing a testing, this now is the new full screen message editor, and it comes with a completely different look and feel. Look at this. It's got a really nice help screen. It has the ability to drop into, and it always did, but it just looks so much nicer in this screen, and draw mode. So if you want to do some ANSI art, you can. And the escape, you can set the colors. If you wanted to do some drawing, you can choose which characters and things, or you could drop it into back to the normal editor. This is the new look editor that I am testing out for the Mystic Guy YouTube channel. Notice the way that it's highlighting capitals. Also notice that there's a spell check feature. Now at the time of recording this video, this hadn't been enabled, but hopefully by the time you get to play with this, it's going to have an inbuilt spell checker that's just simply awesome. Cheers, Paul. And there we go. There's a whole bunch of nice little tweaks there. I'll just show you too. I'll save that message, and I'll just call up an earlier message. Say I wanted to reply to this message using the new Mystic full screen editor. The quote system just looks really nice. See? This is my reply. Do a bit more quoting. Well, there's not much more to quote. Maybe I'll just quote this bit. Now if I wanted to, I might have bought that. The pop-up boxes and all the prompts have been completely customized differently, and the nice thing about all of this is you can customize that look and feel. Let me just log out and show you. And in the Mystic text directory, when we copied over these files, the message editor files, note that there is an ini file in there, which if I just open up and bring on the screen, is a whole bunch of configuration options that you have absolute control over. So if you want to, you can change the colors of the way things are quoted. When the spell check is enabled, you can change the style of the spell checker box. You can set the coordinates for the editing window. You can update the prompts. It's very easy to do because you've got these ini files that are being rolled out with Mystic as it continues to be developed. So you don't need to be a coder in order to customize Mystic in a way that works for you. And that's one of the cool features of this bulletin board software. So look, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you like what you see, please like the channel and let your friends know as well. Bye for now.